The cargo ship floated in space like a forgotten ghost. No lights, no movement, no sign of life. Tom adjusted his helmet and stepped onto the dead ship's floor. His boots made a soft metal echo with each step. The oxygen levels were too low, so he had to wear a suit. The ship's walls were scratched, wires hung like vines, and most of the doors had been forced open. It was clear the crew had abandoned this place in a hurry. Tom was a scavenger, not a soldier. He wasn't looking for trouble, just parts, fuel, and anything he could sell. He moved room by room, marking what he found: empty lockers, broken control panels, old food packs. Then he reached the cargo bay. It was dark, cold, and something felt off. The large cargo crates were stacked high, most of them broken open. But one crate in the corner was still sealed. It had thick bars on the front, like a cage. Tom stepped closer and turned on his helmet light. Inside the crate, curled up in the corner, was something or someone. It was a girl. Or at least, she looked like one. She had silver blue skin, long, dark hair, and large glowing eyes like a cat. Her arms were thin, her body small, and she looked weak. Her clothes were torn into simple, like something made for display, not comfort. She blinked against the light, growled low, and backed away from the bars. Tom froze. Hello? The girl hissed like an angry animal. Her sharp teeth flashed. I'm not your pet. Her voice was rough but clear. She spoke the common trade language barely. Tom raised both hands slowly. I don't want to hurt you. I didn't know anyone was in here. She bared her teeth again, but her hands trembled. Tom looked at the crate's control panel. The lock was simple. He tapped a few commands, and with a hiss, the bars lifted. The girl didn't move. Tom took a step back. You're free. Still, she didn't move. Her eyes stayed on him, filled with distrust. Tom sighed and pulled a ration pack from his belt. He opened it and placed it just outside the crate. I'm leaving this here, he said. You can have it if you want. He stepped away and sat near the wall, giving her space. A few minutes passed in silence. Then, carefully, the girl crawled forward. She grabbed the ration pack, opened it with her teeth, and began to eat like she hadn't eaten in days. Tom watched quietly. What's your name? She paused. Her eyes narrowed. Name. Tom repeated, pointing at himself. Tom. She swallowed and said something that didn't translate. Tom frowned. Hold on. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small device, an old alien translator. He found it in another wreck. He tapped it and held it near her. She looked at the device, then back at him. Slowly, she spoke again. This time, the translator lit up. Neri. Tom smiled. Neri. That's a good name. She didn't smile back. Tom pointed around the ship. This place is dead. No one else is here. Neri growled. Bad people put me in the cage. Sold me. Tom's face darkened. Slavers? She nodded slowly. Her eyes dropped to the floor. They said I looked pretty. Said I was rare. Said I was safe now. But I am not pet. Tom nodded. No, you're not. He stood slowly and extended a hand. Come with me. I'll get you somewhere safe. She looked at his hand, then at his eyes. I don't trust humans. I don't blame you, Tom said quietly. But I'm not like them. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then, finally, she crawled out of the crate. Her legs were weak. She almost fell, but Tom caught her carefully. She hissed at his touch. Easy, he said. I'm just helping. Neri grumbled but didn't pull away. Don't carry me. Tom smiled faintly. Fine, you walk, but hold my arm. She clung to his arm tightly as they made their way back through the ship. Her breathing was shaky, but her steps grew stronger. Back in his own ship, Tom helped her into a seat. He gave her water and a blanket. She looked around at his small, dusty craft and gave a confused snort. This ship is ugly. It works, Tom said, laughing. She curled up in the chair, watching him closely. You don't put collar on me. He shook his head. No collars. No cages. She was silent for a while. Then, as the engine started and they flew away from the wreck, she leaned back into the chair and whispered, Still don't trust you. That's okay, Tom said, adjusting the controls. You don't have to. Just stay warm. She grumbled again. Not your pet, I know. But when he glanced back a few minutes later, she had quietly curled up on the seat, using his jacket as a pillow. Her eyes were closed, her breathing soft. Tom didn't say anything. He just kept flying. The stars outside stretched as they jumped into warp. They didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. Tom's ship, the Little Runner, hummed quietly as it moved through warp space. Stars streaked past the window like white rivers. Inside, everything was calm except for the small alien girl. Watching Tom with narrowed eyes from the co-pilot seat, Neri had eaten half of a ration bar and wrapped herself in one of Tom's blankets. Her tail twitched slightly under the fabric, and her large glowing eyes never left him. Tom finished checking the ship's system panel. You hungry again? Neri shook her head quickly. I'm not weak. I didn't say you were, Tom replied. He kept his voice calm. I just thought you might want something. She looked away and muttered something under her breath in her own language. The translator device, sitting on the dashboard between them, flashed red. It was old and damaged, and most of her words still didn't come through. Tom sighed. He had found the translator years ago in a junkyard. It had worked once in a while when it wanted to. Now, he needed it more than ever. He opened the small device and carefully tapped at the inner wiring. The screen blinked again, then turned blue. Let's try again, he said. He pointed at her and asked, Name? Neri, she answered. The translator repeated her word in a soft robotic voice. Neri. Tom smiled. Good, it works. Neri frowned. I told you before. Neri, I know. I just wanted to hear it with less hissing and more understanding. She growled low but didn't argue. Instead, she pulled the blanket tight around her and looked out the window. Tom sat back in his chair. You speak our language. A little. That's rare. Neri gave him a sharp look. They made me learn it. Slavers. They said I would please buyers more. Her voice was bitter. The translator struggled but managed to carry the meaning. Tom felt a cold twist in his stomach. He looked at her carefully. You were a prisoner for a long time. She nodded. 3 moons, maybe 4. They kept me in a small cage. Gave me no name. Just called me thing or beast. Tom didn't say anything for a moment. Then he said softly, You're not a beast, and you're definitely not a thing. Neri stared at him, searching his face. Why did you open my crate? You could have left me. Tom shrugged. Because it was wrong, and you were alone. Humans don't care about that, she said. Maybe not all, he replied. But I do. Silence settled in the ship again, broken only by the quiet hum of the engines. Tom leaned forward and turned on the ship's recording log. Note to station. Picked up unknown alien survivor from derelict cargo ship. Appears intelligent. Possibly needs medical help. Name, Neri. Neri narrowed her eyes. You're telling your leaders about me. Tom turned to her. Not to hurt you. I have to log survivors. That's how rescue works. Otherwise, someone might think I'm the one who caught you. She seemed to think about this. Then she nodded slightly. Tom stood and walked to the back of the ship, opening a storage locker. He pulled out a small shirt and a soft jacket. These might fit you. Not perfect, but better than those torn clothes. Neri looked at the clothes, then at him. I'll look away, he said, raising his hands. Take your time. She took the bundle and moved to the sleeping area. A few minutes later, she returned wearing the human clothes. The jacket was too big, but it covered her well. Tom smiled. You look like a proper traveler now. I'm still not your pet, she said firmly. I didn't say you were. She walked closer. Her eyes focused on the glowing translator. Why do you help me, really? Tom leaned on the console and looked her in the eyes. Because no one should be in a cage. Not you. Not anyone. Neri's ears twitched slightly. She sat down again and looked at the food ration left on the side table. I said I wasn't hungry. She muttered. I didn't say you were, Tom replied. After a moment, she reached over and took it anyway. They flew in silence for a while, stars stretching past outside. Suddenly, a loud ping came from the console. A message flashed across the screen. Tom read it and frowned. That's not good. What? We're being hailed. Looks like a patrol ship. Could be a problem. Problem? Neri TENSED. Tom looked at her. They might ask questions about you. Will they put me in another cage? Not if I can help it, the message repeated. Tom opened the channel. A voice came through, crackling slightly. Unidentified ship, respond. You are entering regulated trade space. State your purpose. Tom pressed the comm. This is Scavenger Tom Harlan aboard the Little Runner. I'm returning from wreckage recovery. I have one survivor on board, non-human. Found inside a sealed crate. A pause, then send identification and prepare for inspection. Tom sighed. Of course. He looked at Neri. Stay calm. I'll talk to them, Neri whispered. I don't like uniforms. Neither do I, Tom said with a small smile. A few minutes later, the patrol ship connected via docking port. 2 officers in dark suits stepped in. One scanned the ship while the other looked at Neri. What species is she? The officer asked. She says her name is Neri. Not sure what species, Tom said quickly. She was locked in a crate in a slaver's ship. The officer's eyes narrowed. That ship wasn't on record for slaver traffic. Well, Tom said, someone forgot to file paperwork. The officers looked at Neri. Does she speak? I speak, Neri said coldly. The officer blinked at her. You understand me, yes? He looked at Tom. We'll need to take her in for questioning. Tom stepped forward. She's not a criminal. We're not saying she is. But this is standard. She's been through enough. Neri stepped between them. I go. With Tom. Not with you. The officers looked at each other. Finally, one nodded. Fine. But you're responsible for her. I already was, Tom said. The patrol ship left soon after. Neri sat back down, eyes still alert. Tom looked over. You handled that well. I learned. Watched everything. Speak little. You're good at it. She curled up again in the chair, pulling the blanket tight. Still don't trust humans. That's okay, Tom said. I'll earn it. She looked at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she leaned her head against his arm. The Little Runner landed quietly on Station E9, a small human outpost floating near the edge of trade space. The station wasn't busy, but it had everything: repair docks, supply shops, and registration offices. For scavengers like Tom, it was a good place to sell parts and restock fuel. As the hatch opened, Tom turned to Neri. Stay close, all right, just follow my lead. Neri crossed her arms. She was still wearing the oversized jacket and had her hood up. Her glowing eyes were hidden in its shadow. I'm not hiding, she said. I know, Tom replied. But people stare, and if they think you're for sale. Her eyes narrowed. They will try, Tom nodded. Maybe, so don't let go of my arm. She didn't answer. But when they stepped onto the station floor, she quietly took his arm anyway. They walked through the main corridor. Traders, mechanics, and dock workers moved around them. A few turned their heads to glance at Neri, but no one said anything yet. Tom led her to the registration hall. It was a large room with metal walls and a single tired-looking woman sitting behind a counter. Her nameplate read Clerk Mira. Tom stepped up. I need to register a rescued individual. Mira looked up, saw Neri, and raised her eyebrows. Alien? Yes. Found her locked in a crate on a dead ship. Species? Unknown. Is she dangerous? Tom paused. No. Neri frowned at him but stayed silent. Mira sighed and pulled out a small scanner. Put your hand here, girl. Neri didn't move. It's just a scan, Tom said gently. They need a record of you. Neri hesitated, then placed her hand on the scanner. Mira studied the results. HMM. No match in our system. She's not from any known species. That's odd. She said her name is Neri. Tom added. Mira typed the name. All right. I'll list her under unregistered sentient. But if something happens, you're responsible. Tom nodded. I understand. They left the office and stepped into a quieter hallway. Neri suddenly spoke. That woman, she thought I was an animal. Tom looked at her. You noticed? I smell what people feel, Neri said softly. She didn't respect me. Tom was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Do all people treat you like that?" She nodded. "All except you?" Tom smiled. "Slightly. Well, that's something." They reached the ship's supply shop. Tom handed over a few rare circuit boards he had collected from the wrecked cargo ship. The owner paid him enough credits to restock fuel, food, and even a new power cell for the translator. Back on the ship, Tom installed the new cell. The device blinked to life. "There," he said. "Now we can talk without guessing." Neri tapped it. "Still ugly box, but useful." She looked at him. "You act like I'm weak." "I'm not." Tom raised an eyebrow. "I never said you were. You always tell me to stay close, stay quiet, walk behind you. I was trying to protect you. I can protect myself." Tom tilted his head. "Can you?" Neri stood up. "You want to see?" He nodded. "All right, show me." They walked to the cargo hold, a wide empty space in the back of the ship. Neri stepped into the middle and dropped the jacket. She wore simple clothes underneath, now a shirt and pants, both borrowed from Tom's storage locker. She crouched low, her eyes glowing faintly. Then she moved fast. Her legs launched her upward, and she spun in the air, landing silently on a stack of crates. She leapt again, bounced off the wall, and landed behind Tom without a sound. Tom turned. "That was impressive." She grinned, showing sharp teeth. "That's just warm up." She dropped to the floor and performed a short series of quick strikes with her claws, punches, kicks, and flips that looked more like a dance than a fight. Her movements were fluid and fast, like she'd trained for years. Tom clapped slowly. "Okay, I believe you." She smirked. "Now you know. Not pet, not weak." He nodded. "Definitely not." She walked closer. "Do you still want to protect me?" Tom thought for a moment. "Yes, but maybe not because you need it, then." "Why?" "Because I care." Neri looked up at him, her face serious. "No one cared before." "They should have," Tom said. Neri stepped forward and leaned her head against his chest for just a moment. Then she pulled back quickly. "That doesn't mean I trust you," she said. "I know." Later that night, as the ship floated in orbit, Tom was finishing repairs on a console when he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned to see Neri standing there, holding the blanket. She didn't say anything, just walked past him, climbed into the co-pilot seat, curled up, and wrapped the blanket around herself. Tom smiled. "Tired?" "No," she said quickly. "Just, this seat is warm." He nodded and returned to his work. A few minutes later, she spoke again, voice quiet. "When I was small, I had a nest, safe, warm. My family was there." Tom paused. "They're gone now," she said. "All of them. I'm sorry. I don't want a new family." "You don't have to," Tom said. "You can just have a place to rest." She was quiet again. Then she whispered, "Thank you." Tom looked over. She had fallen asleep, curled up in the seat with her tail wrapped around her legs. He smiled softly and turned off the main light, letting the stars shine through the window. 2 days passed quietly on the little runner. The ship floated through the edge of known space, where there were no patrols, no stations, and no crowds, just stars, silence, and time. Tom sat in the cockpit, watching the navigation screen. Neri was behind him, sitting on the floor with her legs crossed and the translator resting beside her. She had started asking questions about humans, about space stations, about the rules of trading and travel. But today, she was silent. Tom glanced back. "You all right?" Neri didn't answer. Tom stood and walked toward her. "You've been quiet all morning." Neri slowly looked up. Her eyes were serious. "You asked me what I am. What kind of creature?" Tom nodded. "Yes, but only if you want to tell me." She took a deep breath. "I'm Kalari." The translator repeated the word. "Kalari." Tom frowned. "Never heard of them. You wouldn't. Your kind believes we're gone. Extinct, lost in history." Tom sat on a crate near her. "So you're rare?" She nodded. "Very. There are few of us left, maybe only a handful. The others were hunted." Tom's eyes narrowed. "Hunted? Why?" Neri's voice became sharp. "Because we scared them, long ago. Kalari were not weak. We were powerful, strong minds, strong bodies. We ruled systems, not with greed but with honor. Then others came. They were afraid of us, so they made deals in shadows, betrayed us, attacked when our people were resting. Who did it? Tom asked. Humans helped. She said softly. Tom's stomach twisted. I'm sorry. Neri didn't look angry. Just sad. Maybe not your fault, she said. But humans were part of it. They sold us. Captured the young. Took our worlds. Tom was silent for a moment. Then he said, That's why the slavers put you in a cage. She nodded. They thought I was just a creature. But they feared me too. That's why they kept my claws dull and gave me weak food. Tom looked at her closely. They didn't know what you really were. No, Neri said. They thought Kaelari were just animals in stories. Not real. Tom leaned forward. You said there are more of your kind, maybe. She whispered, scattered, hiding. Do you want to find them? Neri looked up. I want to find me first. Tom nodded slowly. That makes sense. She stood up, her tail curling behind her as she walked toward the main window. Stars shimmered beyond the glass, cold and beautiful. I don't know who I'm supposed to be now, she said. Warrior? Survivor? Pet? You're not a pet, Tom said firmly. Neri turned her head slightly. Then what am I? He thought for a moment. You're someone starting over. She didn't speak for a while, just stared out the window. Then, softly, she said, You treat me like I matter. Because you do. She turned to face him. What if others come for me? What if they find out I'm Kaelari? Tom stood. Then we deal with them. You're one human, she said. They will send many. I'm still not afraid. Neri tilted her head. Why not? Because you're not alone anymore. Tom replied, a small smile tugged at her lips, but she hid it by pulling the hood over her head again. Later that day, Tom picked up a signal on the ship's receiver. It was a short message, repeating in a loop. He tapped the controls to hear it clearly. Distress beacon active. This is June of 3. Minor ship crash. Supplies low. Requesting assistance. Coordinates attached. Neri looked at the screen. Trap, maybe, Tom said. But it could be real. She crossed her arms. You help everyone. I try. Neri shook her head. That's dangerous. Tom smiled. You said I'm one human. That means I've got to try harder. She rolled her eyes, but followed him into the co-pilot seat as he adjusted course. They reached the coordinates an hour later. A small gray ship sat crooked on a rocky asteroid. The hull was damaged, smoke rising from the side. No weapons were visible. One life signal blinked weakly on the scanner. Tom docked carefully and grabbed a toolkit. Stay here. Neri grabbed his arm. No. He looked at her. I'm coming, she said. You may need me. Tom nodded. All right. Inside the broken ship, a human woman sat against the wall, holding her leg. It was clearly injured. She looked up in shock as Tom and Neri entered. Who are you? She asked. Rescuers, Tom said. You okay? Ship crashed. Systems failed. I thought I was going to die here. Tom gave her water and checked her wound. Not too bad. We'll take you back to the Little Runner. The woman looked at Neri. Her eyes widened. Is she yours? Neri's ears twitched. Tom stood up. She's not mine. She's Neri, my partner. The woman looked confused. She looks rare. Neri stepped forward. Say that again, she said coldly. The woman stepped back. No offense. Just never seen someone like you. That's because I'm not for seeing, Neri growled. Tom placed a hand on her shoulder. It's all right. They returned to the Little Runner with the injured woman and left the asteroid behind. As the stars stretched again through warp space, Neri sat beside Tom in silence. He turned to her. You okay? I don't like the way she looked at me, Neri said. I noticed. She looked like the slavers. Tom nodded. But this time, you had a choice. You stood tall. You weren't in a cage. She looked down at her hands. I'm still learning how to be free. Tom smiled. You're doing just fine. That night, Neri didn't sleep in the co-pilot chair. She curled up in Tom's chair's lap, actually tail wrapped around herself, resting against him without a word. Tom didn't move. He just smiled and let her stay. And Neri didn't say, "I'm not your pet." She didn't have to. The little runner flew silently through a dark corner of space behind them. Stars blinked like quiet warnings. Ahead, the galaxy stretched into unknown shadows. Tom checked the radar again. No ships, no signals. Neri sat beside him, arms folded, eyes locked on the stars outside. Her tail flicked slowly. She had been tense all day. "Something's wrong," she said softly. Tom didn't argue. He felt it too. Since they rescued the injured woman, strange things had started happening. A shadowed ship had followed them out of a gas field. A message came through from an unknown channel. "We know what you're hiding." Then a bounty alert flashed across the station's data net. "Reward for rare specimen. Last seen." With scavenger ship Little Runner, Neri knew what it meant. She didn't need the translator to explain. "They found me," she said. Tom nodded slowly. "We should have guessed it would happen. Humans love to own things they don't understand," she said bitterly. Tom looked at her. "Not all humans," Neri didn't reply. A soft alarm beeped. Tom leaned forward. "Incoming ship. Fast." Not answering hails. Neri stood, claws slightly out. "We run." Tom pressed the controls, trying. The enemy ship dropped out of warp behind them, a black, sharp-looking vessel with red engines. It fired a warning shot. Tom pulled hard on the controls. "Hold on." The little runner swerved left, dodging the blast. Inside the cockpit, lights flashed red. "They're locking weapons," Tom said. "I can't outrun them like this." "I'll fly," Neri said. Tom blinked. "What? You fix. I fly." He hesitated for only a second. Then he nodded. Neri jumped into the pilot seat. Her fingers moved fast over the controls, faster than Tom had ever seen. Her tail wrapped around the chair's leg as she tilted the ship and twisted into a narrow gap between two drifting rocks. The enemy followed, but Neri was faster. She dove low, skimming an asteroid's surface. Lasers flew past them, missing by inches. Tom held on as the ship spun through a field of debris. "You're good," he said. "I was trained as a child," Neri replied. "Flight is in our blood." The enemy ship fired again, this time hitting their right wing. The ship jerked hard. Alarms screamed. "We can't take another hit," Tom shouted. Neri's eyes glowed with focus. "One more trick." She pulled the ship down sharply, then turned it upward into a spinning roll. They looped behind the asteroid and shut off the engine. The little runner floated silently in the shadow. The enemy ship circled the area. Then, slowly, it flew away. Tom let out a breath. "You did it?" Neri didn't answer. Her hands were still on the controls, steady and ready. Tom looked at her with new respect. "You saved us." "I told you I'm not weak," she said quietly. "I never said you were." She finally turned to look at him. "They'll come again." "Yes," Tom said. "But we'll be ready." Later, after repairs were done, Tom sat in the small kitchen area, staring at the bounty alert again. Neri stood beside him. "They call me Specimen," she said coldly. Tom shook his head. "They see your value, but not your soul." "I want to fight back," she said. "Not just run. We can't fight them alone." Neri's eyes burned bright. "Then we find others." Tom looked at her. "Who?" "Outcasts, the forgotten. The ones who were stepped on like me." Tom thought. For a moment. "There's an old base in the Pharaoh's Belt. It was used by rebels during the border wars. Maybe someone's still there." Neri nodded. "Take me there." The little runner jumped to warp again. This time, not as prey but with purpose. 3 days later, they reached the base. It was hidden deep in a cracked moon. The entrance was almost invisible from space, but the base was still there, dark, dusty, and cold inside. Tom and Neri walked through empty halls. Lights flickered. Old symbols lined the walls. Some rooms were broken, but others still had power. And people. They found a small group, a mix of humans, aliens, and droids living together, surviving off scraps. The leader was an older man named Bren. He had one metal eye and a slow, firm voice. "Why are you here?" he asked. Tom pointed to Neri. "She's Kailari." Bren stared. "That's impossible." "I'm right here," Neri said. Bren stepped back. Then everything the stories said. It's true. Neri didn't blink. Yes. The room was silent. Then Bren laughed. You're bold. I like that. Neri stepped forward. I need your help. I'm hunted. But I don't want to hide forever. I want to fight. Bren crossed his arms. You want to lead a fight with this crew. We don't need an army, Neri said. We need only the brave, Tom added, and someone to believe in. Bren looked at her again, longer this time. Then he nodded. All right, Kailari, you've got my attention. Over the next days, Neri spoke to the others. She told them about her people, about betrayal, about survival, about what it meant to be free. The crew listened, and slowly. They started to believe. That night, in the quiet of the old command room, Tom found Neri standing alone, looking at a dusty star map. You were amazing today, he said. I didn't do it to be amazing, Neri replied. I did it to feel like myself again. Tom stepped beside her. You don't have to fight this alone. I know, she said. She turned to him. You're not like the others. Tom smiled. Because I don't treat you like a pet, she smiled back. Just a little. Yes, and because you listened. Then, without asking, she stepped forward and rested her head on his shoulder. Tom didn't move. Neri whispered. Still not your pet, Tom whispered back. Never were. The rebel base hidden inside the cracked moon slowly came to life. Old lights flickered on. Power systems hummed again. The dusty halls, once silent, were filled with footsteps, voices, and hope. Niri stood in the center of the control room, surrounded by beings of all kinds, humans, aliens, ex-soldiers, traitors, and droids. Her presence was calm but strong, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. She had become more than a rescue girl now. She had become a symbol. Tom watched from the side, arms crossed, quietly proud. Neri was speaking to the small group, her words clear and powerful, translated by the working device on her collar. There are many out there like us, she said, hunted, forgotten, cast aside. But we are not weak. We are not pets. We are not broken. The crowd listened closely. Even those who didn't fully trust her before now leaned in to hear every word. The Kailari were nearly destroyed, but not defeated. And now, I will not run anymore. I will not hide. If they want to find me, they will find me standing tall with all of you beside me. Soft murmurs of agreement passed through the crowd. Some nodded. Others tapped their fists to their chests. One alien stepped forward, tall and covered in dull scales. I lost my people too. My home was sold to miners. I've had nothing for years. But I hear truth in your words, Kailari. I'll follow you. Another voice echoed from the corner. Bren, the rebel leader. Then we rise together. Neri turned slightly toward Tom. Her eyes met his for just a moment. Later, inside the command chamber, Tom leaned against the console as Neri checked the star charts. You're building something here, he said. Niri nodded. Not a war. Not yet. But a voice, a place, a start. Tom smiled. You ever think you'd be leading others? I didn't even think I'd survive, she said. She tapped the screen and zoomed in on a star system. Here, she said. This planet Nurin. Unclaimed, remote, rich with forests and hills. No stations, no owners. We could set up there. Make a home, Tom asked. Make a message, Neri replied. A free place. Not just for Kailari but for anyone who wants to live without chains. Tom nodded. I like the sound of that. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A warning alarm began to flash on the console. Tom leaned forward. Incoming ship, large. Bren's voice came through the comm. Everyone to stations. This one's not friendly. Neri didn't move. Her face was calm. Her eyes sharp. Tom tapped the screen. It's them, the hunters again. They tracked us. Neri stood straight. Good, let them come. Tom blinked. You're not planning to run, no, she said. This time. We answer. Bren rushed into the room. They've got more firepower than us, but we have something they don't. A reason. Neri walked to the center of the room. And someone to fight for. Within minutes, the base crew armed old turrets sealed the entrances. and powered up the shield generators. Tom joined Neri on the upper deck, where they could see the approaching ship on the screen. Its hull was dark, and its name glowed in red letters, the Chainbreaker. They think I belong to them, Neri said. They're wrong, Tom replied. The enemy ship sent a message. Turn over the Kailari female. No harm will come to the rest. Refuse, and we destroy the base, Neri. Turn to the comm panel. My name is Neri. I am not your property. I am Kailari. Come and try. She ended the message and turned to the others. Let them hear our answer and fire. The battle began. The Chainbreaker launched small attack drones toward the moon base. But the old rebel guns still had teeth. Lasers burst from hidden turrets, cutting the drones down. Inside the control room, Tom worked the defense systems while Neri gave orders. Her voice was steady, commanding, and clear. Left flank, close shield gaps. Target weak spots on their lower wing. Don't waste shots, make them count. Tom looked at her, amazed. She didn't just know how to fight, she knew how to lead. Suddenly, a blast rocked the base, a wall cracked, and sparks flew from a nearby panel. They're breaching the west tunnel, shouted one rebel. I'll go, Neri said. Tom grabbed her arm. Let me come with you. She looked at him, her expression softening. Then stay close. They rushed to the lower level, where a group of armored hunters had broken through the tunnel gate. Neri didn't wait. She leapt forward, claws out, eyes glowing like fire. She moved fast for the hunters to follow. She cut through one, then two, then dropped from above onto a third. Her body twisted midair, striking with claws and kicks. Tom fired at the others, forcing them back. Neri, right side. She turned, struck, and dropped the last attacker with a clean hit. It was over. For a moment, everything was silent. Then, Neri stood tall, her chest rising and falling with each breath. Tom stepped beside her. You okay? She nodded, still standing. Back in the control room, the Chainbreaker began to retreat. They're leaving, Bren shouted. They're pulling away. Cheers filled the base. The fight was over for now. Niri returned. To the main deck, everyone stared at her with new eyes. She was no longer a scared girl from a cage. She was a leader. That night, Tom found her sitting alone near the base's upper dome. Staring at the stars, he sat beside her quietly. They'll come again, she said. I know. But next time, we won't just survive, Neri said. We'll grow. Tom nodded. You've changed a lot. I found my voice, she said. Then she looked at him. And I found you? Tom smiled. She shifted closer, leaning into his side, her voice softer now. Still not your pet. He laughed quietly. Never said you were. But I might stay here, she added. With you, if that's all right. The moon base was quiet in the morning light. A soft silver glow touched the metal walls, and the hum of power systems blended with the soft breathing of a place finally at peace. Tom walked through the main corridor, holding a mug of hot tea. He passed workers repairing walls, young volunteers cleaning blast marks, and a few old rebels smiling like they hadn't smiled in years. Everyone moved with purpose now. They weren't just hiding anymore. They were building. He entered the control room, where Neri stood at the center, her eyes fixed on the main screen. The planet called Nuren floated in space, green and blue, untouched and full of promise. Tom stepped beside her. Beautiful, isn't it? Neri nodded. It feels like the start of something. Bren walked in with a data pad. We've scanned the surface. No cities, no signals, just land, water, and air. It's perfect. Neri glanced at him. How long to set up? 2 weeks to land the first crew. Another month to finish shelters. Farming will take time, but we've got seeds and volunteers. She turned to Tom. Are you coming with us? Tom raised an eyebrow. Do you even need to ask? She smiled. A small smile, but real. Good. The announcement went out later that day. All those who wanted a new beginning could join the journey. To Nuren. Humans, aliens, ex-slaves, wanderers, and warriors lined up to register. Some stayed behind to keep the base running, but most were ready to go when the ships lifted off. They didn't fly like escape pods. They flew like hope. The journey took 4 days. Neri stayed near the windows for most of the flight, watching stars drift by. She didn't say much, but Tom knew her mind was full. He sat next to her when she seemed quiet too long. "You nervous?" he asked. "I keep thinking something bad will happen," she said softly, "like I don't deserve this peace." Tom looked at her. "After everything you've done, you deserve more than this." She looked at him, her voice barely above a whisper. "And you?" He smiled. "I'll stay with you, wherever this goes." They didn't speak after that. She just leaned on his shoulder, quiet and calm, when the ship touched down on Nuren. The doors opened to a world of wild beauty. The air smelled fresh, tall trees swayed gently. Strange birds flew across the sky, and sunlight danced on quiet lakes. People stepped out and just stood there, taking deep breaths. No chains, no orders. No threats, just wind, light, and freedom. Neri walked down the ramp first. The others followed. Behind her, she knelt down, pressed her hand to the ground, and closed her eyes. "This," she whispered, "is ours." They began building the settlement that same week. Shelters were made from lightweight metal frames. Water was filtered from streams. A large meeting hall was built at the center, where people could gather, share food, stories, and plans. Children played in open fields. Old soldiers planted trees. Humans and aliens worked together as if they'd always belonged to one tribe. No one spoke of past ranks. Everyone had a place now. One evening, Tom found Neri sitting on a large flat rock by the river. Her bare feet dipped into the water. She stared up at the stars. He sat beside her quietly. "You still don't believe this is real?" he asked. She shook her head. "It's real now, but I wonder how long it will last." Tom picked up a small stone and skipped it across the water. "Maybe forever, maybe a few years, but we make the most of it. That's what matters." She didn't answer at first. Then she said, "You changed everything for me." Tom looked at her. "No, you did." She turned to face him. Her eyes, once wild and uncertain, were now calm and bright. "I thought I was just a thing," she said. "Something owned, something broken. But you saw me as more." He reached out and gently took her hand. "You were always more. You just needed someone to remind you." She smiled again, soft and full of something gentle. Then she did what surprised even herself. She climbed onto the flat rock beside him, curled her legs under her, and leaned into his side. "I still don't like being called a pet," she muttered. Tom chuckled. "You made that very clear. But I like being near you." He nodded. "Then stay." She didn't move. Time passed. Months turned into a quiet cycle of work, peace, and new beginnings. One day, a small ship landed on Nuren, bringing a message from space. Tom and Neri met the pilot. She was human, dressed in silver gear. "There are others out there," the pilot said. "Other Kailari, other broken tribes. They heard what you did. They're searching for the one who stood up to the hunters." Neri felt her heart beat faster. The pilot continued, "They want to come. They want to believe there's a place where they belong." Tom looked at Neri. She looked back at him. "Then let's welcome them," she said. By the first year's end, the settlement had doubled in size. Small homes lined the fields. A school was built. A tower lit up the sky at night like a lighthouse. The name of the place became Starhome because it wasn't just a home on a planet. It was a symbol of something bigger. Hope, peace, and freedom. One evening, Neri sat with Tom near the old river again. The stars above them were quiet. The sounds of laughter came from the camp behind them. "Do you think they'll always remember?" she asked. Tom leaned back. "You mean what happened?" "No," she said. "What we built." He looked at her. "They will, because it wasn't just me or you. It was all of us, together." She smiled and leaned into his shoulder again. "I'm still not your pet," she whispered, with a playful tone. Tom smiled. "I know, but I'm yours," she added softly. He wrapped an arm around her. "And I'm yours, together." They sat beneath the stars, with no fear, no cage, and no chains. Just freedom, and a future they had chosen for themselves.